They called her Aunty. To the parents in our neighborhood, she was a godsend, a hard-working, prayerful woman who looked after their most precious treasures. My mother ran a daycare with over 150 children. She did it all alone. No assistants, no cleaners, no help. People marveled at her strength. They called it a blessing. But I grew up behind those closed doors, and I saw things that didn't make sense. I saw a mother who could discern every witch in the street, yet eventually stopped going to church. I saw a woman who fed hundreds of babies, but refused to ever taste a single spoonful of their food, not even to check if it was too hot for their little mouths. It was as if she was strictly forbidden from sharing a meal with the living. My name is Ifoma, and I am a covenant child. This is the story of the daycare that wasn't just a school, it was an altar. It began 32 years ago. We lived in a one-room apartment in an urban area, not too busy, just a normal neighborhood. I was just 3 years old. Every morning, I would watch my mother perform a ritual. She would rearrange our entire life, pushing our beds to the corner, setting out small plastic chairs, transforming our sleeping space into a classroom. It started small, a few neighbors' children, but soon the room was bursting. My mother had 5 children of her own. We lived, ate, and slept in that same space. The kitchen and bathroom were in a separate building across the yard, but the atmosphere inside our room was heavy. By the time I was a bit older, the daycare had moved to the backyard of the compound. The numbers kept growing, 50, 80, over 100. My father lived apart from us, though he took care of us. He had a workshop nearby where he did his own business. He was around, but he wasn't truly present. Then came the year that changed everything. I was in primary 4. Without warning, we were served an urgent quit notice. It wasn't a standard move. It felt like we were being hunted out of that compound. My father took us to squat with relatives, but my mother, she refused to come. She told us she was sleeping in the backyard of the compound we were just evicted from, sleeping in the open air, sleeping where the daycare used to be. Even as a child, I felt the lie. You don't sleep in a backyard for weeks unless you are waiting for something or someone from the spirit realm. 2 weeks later, we moved to a new location, a 2-room apartment in a story building. And the daycare started again, bigger than before. It was on the next street with a massive compound. Every morning, we, her children, would carry out the chairs and the boards. Every evening, we packed them back. This was our life, our labor. The landlord of that new compound was a known occultist. My mother told us this herself. She always knew who belonged to what kingdom. But she didn't warn the parents. Instead, she did something chilling. Whenever that man and his wife would walk past the daycare to go and bathe, my mother would stop the lessons. She would command over 100 children to shout his name in unison. God bless you, God bless you. Imagine 100 innocent voices speaking blessings over a man of darkness, day after day. She was using their purity to feed his territory, and no one suspected a thing. The daycare was her church, the children were her congregation, and the Marine Kingdom was her board of directors. As my siblings grew up, they left. They finished secondary school and moved on, but my mother wouldn't let me go. I was the only one she allowed, no, required, to stay and help her. I thought it was because I was useful. I thought it was because she loved me. I stayed with her long after I finished school. I stayed through the arguments, through her strange moods, and through her violent reactions whenever I mentioned a man. she would go into a frenzy, a literal state of insanity, if she thought I was interested in anyone. It took years for me to learn the truth. In the marine kingdom where she belonged, she was not meant to be a wife or a mother. To keep her marriage and her 5 children, she had to pay a price. She promised them one of her children to stay in her house, to serve her altars, to never belong to another man. That child was me. I was the lamb she kept close, waiting for the day of collection. But the marine kingdom didn't account for one thing. The light always finds a way into the dark. My mother threw me out in 2013, thinking she was destroying me. She didn't realize she was accidentally handing me my freedom. Next time, I will tell you about the night the phone was smashed and the physical violence that finally broke the chain.